My name is Olivia DeNova, and today I'm going to be talking about the book Quiet by Susan Cain. So, I'm an introvert, and my whole life I was always told I was. Um, even I remember at my school last year, um, for one of the orientations, my mom was surprised about how they were talking about, like knowing if your kid's an extrovert or an introvert. Like, if they're an introvert, tell them that it's okay to not participate in certain activities. And I thought that was interesting. On October 30th, vocabulary.com defined an introvert as a person who tends to shrink from social contacts become preoccupied with their own thoughts. And that really I really understood that. I mean, you usually think of an introvert as like a shy person, but that definition definitely made sense. I mean, you want to be alone and think your own things, kind of. Some examples of that from in the book, on page 14 in the book Quiet by Susan Cain. She says, many introverts are also highly sensitive, which sounds poetic, but it's actually a technical term in psychology. When you were a child, you were probably called shy, and to this day, you feel nervous when you're being evaluated, like a public speech or like on a first date. And I'm a very sensitive person, and even walking in the hallways, I feel like I'm being judged by everyone. Public speaking was a hard thing for me last year, but I got through it because the class was so welcoming. Another example that I found was on page 228 in the book Quiet by Susan Cain. And it says, it can be hard for extroverts to understand how badly introverts need to recharge at the end of a busy day. And that really explains my life, basically. I mean, I always try to be involved with sports, and growing up in high school, and I would always be on travel teams, and after a long day of tournaments, all I wanted to do was go to my room and have quiet time and be by myself, and was always forced to do these activities with everyone, like team dinners at like 10 o'clock at night, and the only thing I wanted to do was be by myself. And I feel like some people didn't understand that, and they would get mad, and like, of course, girls like talk about each other, like, oh, she didn't want to hang out with us, she just went up to her room, like she's moody. So I feel like people, especially extroverts, don't really understand that we need our own time to basically like recharge ourselves. I mean, it's hard being around people all day when like you don't really like talking, and you like to be by yourself. And another example in The Quiet Book by Susan Cain was on page 249, and it says, if you don't want your child to learn these skills, and they were talking about just like how to be yourself in school. It says, don't let her hear you call her shy. She knows fully well that shy is a negative word in our society, and I feel like parents need to be aware of that, because like if you call your kid shy and like be like, oh, I'm sorry, like she's just shy, like, I mean, I know my parents apologized for me being shy, and I just like felt like embarrassed, and everyone's like, why are you so shy? Like, people don't want to hear that. Like, you don't understand that I need my alone time, because you're happy and you like to be outgoing and being around people, but I need my alone time, like, once I've had enough of that. So I feel like that's another thing that really spoke to me, to not use that word as much. But as I read the book, I kind of found out I wasn't such an introvert, but I was kind of on the introvert extrovert spectrum, so an ambivert, because I've always been involved with sports and tried to involve myself in stuff at school. I've always had a hard time doing that, but I've always tried to. I mean, and I enjoy going out and doing stuff with my friends, but I mean, I know my limit, and when I need alone time, that's like, I've pushed it, so I know, and everyone would know I'd probably get cranky. But on October 30th today, introvert, dear.com explains an ambivert as not the quietest introvert or the chattiest extrovert. And it's really, really simple. And I feel like everyone would understand that. You're not so quiet, but you're not so outgoing. So you're kind of in the middle. And I feel comfortable saying that I'm an ambivert because I still need my time, but I like to make friends. And especially if I'm around people that I'm friends with, I'll like be more outgoing and try to meet people. Especially being a transfer, you have to try to make student friends being a new student. How will reading this book and learning about being an introvert or an ambivert impact my comm major? So reading it kind of helped me understand that because I want to be a sports broadcaster, that I need to be more outgoing and kind of go out of my bubble a little bit to reach my professional goals, because being in my bubble and just being shy and quiet isn't going to get me anywhere. I need to go out of my way and talk to people, especially like other broadcasters, basically to be known and not just be that shy girl that she shouldn't even been here for the interview. Like, I want to make myself known to people. So I honestly really enjoyed reading the book. I mean, it especially speaks to me because reading it, I was like, wow, like I'm not the only one that experiences this kind of stuff. And I feel like other people reading it kind of gained information. I think it was chosen to help people understand who they really are. And with a comm degree, you have to have good communication skills and how to basically use those. And for me, especially, I mean, like I was saying, learning about how to communicate better. Being an introvert in the professional world definitely helped. And it helps me understand that I'm not the only one who's an introvert and has a comm major. I mean, I've talked to other people in the class who are the same thing. And it's good to know that I'm not basically alone in this, like feeling like I need my alone time, and especially when all my friends are extroverts. So it's kind of good to know. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading this book. I mean, I was a little confused why we had to read it first, but I mean, even my mom read it. It's an amazing book. And it really speaks to people and helps you understand. I mean, it gives you life examples, especially in the first chapter about the guy who was afraid to be, who was like that nerdy kind of kid, but then he overcame that kind of public speaking fear and is like a professional speaker. So, I mean, it shows you that even being the shyest introvert, you could become someone famous for doing something a complete opposite of what you're basically are. I mean, it was